At dawn, soft light gradually spreads across the African savanna and its scattered woodlands. In the distance, vast grasslands slowly brighten beneath the first rays of sunlight, while many wild animals begin moving in search of food. At the camp, the tribal hunters also wake early to prepare for the day's hunt. They carefully inspect their bows, knives, ropes, and arrows, making sure every piece of equipment is ready for use. After completing all preparations, the group quietly leaves the camp and heads into the vast savanna, beginning another hunting journey in the African wilderness. The tribal hunters cross wide grasslands and sparse forests, carefully following the footprints of large animals impressed in the ground. Before long, they spot a lion resting on the open savanna. The group quickly finds concealed positions and patiently observes it from a safe distance. After a while, the lion slowly rises, silently walks through the tall grass, and suddenly bursts into a sprint to hunt. Following a brief chase, it quickly brings down its prey and begins feeding. The hunters continue waiting until the lion finally leaves the area before quietly moving in to prepare for their own hunt. Using the bushes and small earthen mounds as cover, the hunters silently reduce the distance between themselves and the lion. As soon as the animal enters shooting range, the first arrow is released. Wounded, the lion immediately roars and charges straight toward the hunters. The men quickly scatter in different directions, maintaining a safe distance while repeatedly firing additional arrows. Although the lion continues its attack, its speed gradually slows as more arrows strike its body. After a fierce struggle, it finally loses strength and collapses on the savanna. The hunters quickly move in and completely secure their first trophy of the day. After finishing the hunt, the tribal group returns to the camp before the sun climbs high into the sky. Everyone quickly builds a fire in the center of the camp to prepare a meal. Others clean the freshly hunted meat, cut it into bite-sized pieces, place it into a pot with water, and cook it over the fire. While waiting for the meat to cook, they take turns watching the pot and keeping the fire burning steadily. The aroma of hot food soon spreads throughout the camp. Once the meal is ready, the group gathers together and enjoys the food to recover after the first hunt. Following a short rest, they check their bows and arrows again and prepare for the next hunt. Leaving the camp once more, The tribal hunters head back into the sparse woodland in search of another animal. Before long, they discover an African civet slowly searching for food beneath low bushes. Using the dense vegetation as cover, the hunters silently spread out and approach from several directions without alerting the animal. When they are close enough, an arrow is quickly released and strikes the target. The hunters immediately rush toward the spot, following the remaining tracks left by the wounded animal. After only a short distance, they find the civet lying beneath the bushes and quickly secure it. The group then carries the new trophy back to the camp. Back at the camp, the tribe begins preparing a meal from a freshly hunted African civet. More firewood is added to the fire, while some members mix flour with water in a clay pot, stirring continuously until it thickens into a porridge-like dish. Meanwhile, the meat is cleaned, cut into bite-sized pieces, and placed into another clay pot to cook thoroughly. Once everything is ready, the tribe gathers together to enjoy a hot meal after their second hunt of the day. Everyone focuses on eating and restoring their strength after a long day of traveling and hunting across the savannah. As the sun slowly disappears beyond the horizon, another day in the African wilderness comes peacefully to an end. The morning in northern Tanzania begins beneath a deep blue sky, stretching all the way to the horizon. There are no white clouds drifting overhead, nor the lively sounds that usually welcome a new day. For the Hadzabe people, this is just another ordinary morning, much like countless others they have experienced over thousands of years. Yet every hunt is a new journey, because in this untamed wilderness, no one can ever predict what lies ahead. The hunt begins without a single command. There is no leader giving orders, no lengthy discussion or carefully laid plan. Each member simply knows their role through knowledge and experience passed down from generation to generation. They carry wooden bows, carefully prepared arrows, and a small knife fastened at the waist. Every step is slow yet confident, so light that it almost blends with the breathing of the forest itself. For the Hadzabe, hunting has never been about strength alone. It is a careful balance of patience, keen observation, and a deep understanding of nature. They pause again and again to listen for sounds so faint that most people would never notice them. A fresh footprint pressed into the soil, a blade of grass that has just been disturbed, or even a subtle shift in the wind is enough to reveal the presence of prey. Every sense is fully engaged. In this forest, a single reckless decision can come at a very high cost. Suddenly, a crocodile appears near the path they are following. The distance is close enough to make the atmosphere instantly tense. Yet no one panics. The hunters quietly observe the animal before calmly changing direction. They understand that courage is not about confronting every danger, but about knowing when to move forward and when to step away. To them, returning home safely is always more important than chasing a single animal. After leaving the dangerous area behind, the hunt continues with its true objective, an aardvark, a secretive and elusive animal known for being remarkably difficult to approach. Finding its tracks is already a challenge, but getting close enough for a clean shot is even harder. One hunter slowly raises his bow, draws the string tight, and releases. The arrow flies swiftly and true, bringing the hunt to an end in a single moment. They examine the animal, retrieve the arrow, and quietly move on. There are no cheers and no signs of prideful celebration. The only expressions on their faces are calmness and gratitude, thankful that nature has provided another meal for the group. When they return to camp, the meat is roasted over a small fire fueled by dry grass and firewood gathered from the forest. No one keeps the best portion for themselves, and no one believes they deserve more than anyone else. Every piece is shared fairly, so that everyone has something to eat. This is a tradition that has existed within the Hadzabe community for generations, where the survival of each individual has always depended on the well-being of the group. Their way of life reflects a philosophy that is both simple and profound. The Hadzabe rarely store wealth or stockpile resources for the distant future. They take from nature only what is needed to sustain life, believing that balance is what allows people to endure over time. In their community, wealth is not measured by material possessions, but by the willingness to share and the strength of the bonds between its members. Everyone understands that only when the community thrives can each individual continue to live and flourish. Perhaps that is why today's hunt is not a story of a glorious victory or a thrilling adventure. It is simply an ordinary day in the life of the Hadzabe, yet one filled with profound lessons about humility, gratitude, and the spirit of sharing. In a modern world that constantly urges us to seek more, move faster, and reach higher, their way of life reminds us that true happiness does not always come from possessing more. Sometimes, it comes from knowing what is enough and being willing to share what we have, so that everyone can continue to thrive. As the first light of dawn spread gently across the grasslands and scattered woodlands, sunlight gradually illuminated the wilderness, while many wild animals left their resting places to begin searching for food. Back at the camp, the tribal hunters also woke up very early to prepare for a new hunting expedition. They carefully checked their bows, arrows, knives, and ropes, making sure every tool was in perfect condition. While the hunting dogs were fed before departure, several young men took the opportunity to practice archery by shooting at wooden targets near the camp. Once every preparation was complete, the entire group gathered together and quietly set out across the open savanna to begin the hunt. Not long after entering the grasslands, the tribal hunters spotted an antelope calmly grazing in an open area. Using tall grass and low terrain as cover, they silently reduce the distance without alerting the animal. As soon as the right moment arrived, everyone raised their bows together. Several arrows flew through the air and struck the target. Wounded, the antelope immediately turned and tried to flee, but after running only a short distance, it gradually lost its strength and collapsed. The hunters quickly approached, secured the animal with ropes, and took turns carrying the antelope back to the camp. After returning to the camp, the hunters placed the antelope in the food preparation area and immediately began preparing the meal. Some members built a fire while others cleaned the meat, cut it into bite-sized pieces, and placed it into clay pots with water to cook. While waiting for the food to finish, they took turns adding more firewood, keeping the fire burning steadily and watching over the boiling pots. The aroma of freshly cooked meat soon spread throughout the camp. Once the meal was ready, the entire tribe gathered together to enjoy the hot food and recover their strength after the first successful hunt. Following a short period of rest, the group prepared for another hunting trip. Leaving the camp once again, the tribal hunters headed into the sparse forest in search of another prey. Before long, they discovered a troop of monkeys foraging on the ground, digging through dry leaves for fallen fruit and other food. Using low bushes as cover, the hunters quietly spread out and slowly closed the distance. When they were close enough, one arrow was released and struck a monkey. The entire troop immediately panicked, quickly climbed into the trees, and disappeared deeper into the forest. The hunters collected the captured monkey, tied it securely, and began making their way back to the camp. The hunters took turns carrying the captured monkey, following familiar forest trails back toward the camp. Along the way, everyone remained alert, carefully watching surroundings for any dangerous wild animals. As the camp gradually came into view, those who had stayed behind came forward to help carry the game into the living area. After placing the monkey on the ground, the group prepared the necessary tools and immediately began getting everything ready to cook the second meal of the day. The tribe quickly built another fire to prepare the meal from the monkey they had just hunted. Some members cleaned the meat, cut it into bite-sized pieces, and placed it into clay pots filled with water to cook. While waiting for meat to become tender, they took turns adding firewood, maintaining a steady fire, and watching over the boiling pots. The rich aroma of the cooking meat gradually spread throughout the camp as the meal neared completion. Once the food was fully cooked, everyone gathered together to enjoy the hot meal after the second successful hunt of the day. They ate heartily to restore their energy after many hours of traveling and hunting through the forests and grasslands, while a peaceful atmosphere settled over the camp as the tribe continued enjoying their freshly prepared meal.
Significado espiritual. Eles não têm.
As dawn gradually spread its gentle light across the savanna and sparse woodlands of Tanzania, the first rays of sunlight illuminated the vast grasslands, while many wild animals began searching for food across the open landscape. At the camp, the group of indigenous hunters also woke before sunrise to prepare for a new hunting expedition. They carefully checked their bows, arrows, knives, and ropes, making sure every tool was in perfect condition. Some tested their bowstrings, organized their arrows, and inspected their equipment one final time before departure. While the hunting dogs were fed and ready for the journey, several young men of the tribe took the opportunity to practice archery at fixed targets. Once every preparation was complete, the hunting party quietly left the camp and began another hunt across the vast African savanna. After moving deeper into the savanna, the indigenous hunters unexpectedly witnessed a lion bursting from the tall grass and bringing down its prey in the middle of the open plain. The group immediately stopped and silently observed from a safe distance. As the lion stood beside its fresh kill, the hunters used the tall grass as cover and quietly moved closer. However, the lion quickly noticed their presence. It repeatedly roared, bared its fangs, and advanced in a threatening manner to drive away the unexpected intruders. The hunters quickly spread out to both sides to maintain a safe distance, while continuously drawing their bows and firing several arrows at the predator. After only a few moments of resistance, the lion gradually lost its strength and collapsed on the open savanna. On the way back to the camp, the hunting party discovered a beehive hidden deep inside the hollow of a large tree trunk. They quickly gathered dry grass and lit it to create smoke, driving the bees away from the hive. Once the area became safer, one member carefully reached inside the tree and slowly pulled out the honeycombs one by one. Large golden honeycombs were passed down to the others below, who carefully collected them. After gathering enough honey, the group packed it together with their hunting trophies, extinguished the remaining fire, and continued along the familiar trail back to the camp. Back at the camp, the tribe quickly lit a fire to prepare their meal. The meat from the hunt was cleaned, cut into bite-sized pieces, and placed into clay pots with water to cook over the fire. While waiting for the food to finish cooking, the members took turns adding firewood, maintaining the flames, and watching over the simmering pots. The freshly collected honey was also divided into small portions for everyone to enjoy. Once the meat became tender, the entire tribe gathered together to share the meal and restore their strength after the first hunt of the day. After a short period of rest, the hunters prepared themselves for another journey. Leaving the camp once again, the indigenous hunters entered the sparse woodland in search of another prey. Before long, they found a troop of monkeys feeding on the ground, constantly searching through fallen fruit and dry leaves. Using the low bushes as cover, the hunters quietly split into several directions and slowly moved closer. When the distance became favorable, a single arrow was released and struck one monkey. The entire troop immediately panicked, rapidly climbed into trees, and disappeared deeper into the forest. The hunters quickly collected the captured monkey, secured it with rope, and carried it back toward the camp. After returning to the camp, the tribe began preparing another meal using the monkey they had just hunted. More firewood was added to the fire while some members cleaned the meat, cut it into bite-sized pieces, and placed it into clay pots with water to cook. As the meat simmered, everyone took turns feeding the fire and watching over the cooking pots. Once the meal was ready, the entire tribe gathered together to enjoy the hot food after completing their second hunt of the day. Everyone ate heartily to recover their energy after many hours of traveling and hunting through the forest and across the savanna. The atmosphere around the camp became lively as they continued eating and enjoyed the remaining honey they had collected earlier.
Here comes another one.
Whenever they leave camp, the Hadzabe enter a land where one small mistake can leave them without prey or bring them dangerously close to large predators hiding nearby. Across the sun-scorched grasslands and open woodlands of northern Tanzania, they have no firearms, food reserves, or modern hunting equipment. Their community survives through bows and arrows, the ability to read tracks, and knowledge passed down for thousands of years. Here, food is never guaranteed, and every hunt is a silent struggle between patience, instinct, experience, and the wild. In the open woodland, a hunter discovers tracks around a burrow and several fresh claw marks on nearby trees. From these signs, the group quickly identifies the shelter of a honey badger. Although small, this animal is extremely aggressive and can defend itself fiercely when cornered or suddenly threatened. The Hadzabe push a long branch into the burrow to force it outside, while another hunter waits nearby with his bow fully drawn.
Here comes another one.
As soon as the honey badger appears, an arrow leaves the bowstring with remarkable speed. The hunt ends before the animal has enough time to react. The hunter carefully collects the prey and continues forward because the catch is still not enough to feed the entire community. Hadzabe hunting rarely depends on luck alone. They study tracks, broken branches, disturbed soil, and wind direction to understand what happened only moments earlier. Moving farther into the open savanna, the hunters discover tracks and droppings from an African warthog. They immediately slow down, remain completely silent, and move against the wind to prevent it from detecting their scent. When the distance is close enough, one hunter slowly raises his bow. At that moment, years of experience and careful observation are focused into a single shot. The arrow strikes its target, but the warthog quickly turns and escapes through the tall grass. The hunters immediately follow the fresh trail. They know the poison on the arrow will eventually take effect, but they cannot afford to lose sight of the animal. Every footprint, flattened stalk, and patch of disturbed soil guides them over a long distance. Finally, the warthog begins to weaken and falls in the middle of the grassland. The hunters quickly approach and remove the prey from the dangerous open area. While part of the group drags the warthog back toward the camp, the others follow the tracks of a small herd of antelopes. They use bushes, low ground, and the direction of the wind to conceal all their movements. When one animal separates from the herd, the hunter slowly draws the bowstring. The arrow strikes its shoulder, and it runs a short distance before falling. There is no loud celebration, only concentration and gratitude for the food they have obtained. However, bringing down prey does not mean the dangerous hunt is completely over. Smells and sounds can attract larger predators from far away. When a lion suddenly appears nearby, the atmosphere changes immediately. The Hadzabe do not panic or move forward recklessly. They keep their distance, stay close together, and watch every movement, ready to retreat if the situation becomes too dangerous. Protecting the food matters, but returning safely remains their highest priority. In the Hadzabe world, humans and powerful predators share the same territory. Courage does not mean confronting every danger, but knowing exactly when to advance and when to stop. While the men hunt, the women dig up wild tubers and gather food near the camp. The tubers are placed in woven baskets and shared among everyone, helping the community survive unsuccessful hunting days and endure the harsh, unforgiving dry season. At the end of the day, everyone returns to camp with what they have gathered. The prey is carefully cleaned, roasted over hot coals, and divided fairly among the families. No one receives a larger portion for shooting the first arrow. Children sit beside the adults and listen to stories about tracks, wind, and important hunting decisions. After the meal, songs and lively conversations echo around the fire. If you enjoy survival stories like this, leave a comment and follow the channel. In the harsh wilderness of Tanzania, Hadzabe hunters are setting out on a dangerous journey of survival, where every decision can affect the safety of the entire group. Today, their targets are not only aggressive, fast-moving baboons that are difficult to approach, but also a powerful lion hiding among the thick grass. As the first rays of sunlight break through the silent forest, they prepare for the expedition by applying fresh poison to their arrowheads and carefully checking their bows. The serious expressions on their faces reveal that there is no room for carelessness, because in the wild, only those who prepare thoroughly and act at the right moment can return safely. In the mysterious silence of the forest, the real challenge begins for the Hadzabe hunters. Their sharp eyes continuously scan the ground for baboon tracks while their ears remain alert to every faint sound coming from the bushes. With each passing second, the tension grows, because tracking a troop of baboons through dense woodland is always filled with danger. They understand that even the slightest noise can alert the animals. For that reason, the group stays calm, limits every movement, and watches each trembling leaf with intense focus. Drawing on years of experience, they quickly recognize the faint signs hidden across the forest floor. Suddenly, when they spot a troop of baboons, the hunters immediately freeze. One small mistake at this moment could place the entire group in danger. The younger hunters quietly look toward the elders and wait for a signal. Then the group slowly moves forward, gliding like shadows until they reach a favorable position. They steady themselves, lock their eyes on the target, and place their arrows on the bowstrings at the same time. This is more than a hunt. It is a search for food that will help sustain the entire tribe. After the difficult baboon hunt, the Hadzabe hunters are exhausted, yet they continue deeper into the wilderness. This time, their target is a lion hiding among the thick grass. Fresh, oversized tracks in the soil reveal that the animal is very close. The group immediately lowers their bodies, remains silent, and carefully advances. Facing a powerful predator like a lion demands calm nerves, experience, and perfect coordination, because one poorly timed move could place everyone in serious danger. The cooking begins over a bed of glowing coals. Using skills refined over many years, the Hadzabe hunters place each piece of meat over the flames, and before long, a rich aroma spreads through the air. There are no elaborate seasonings here, only the natural flavor of the meat, the heat of the charcoal, and the smoky scent of the wilderness. This simple meal is enough to ease the exhaustion of a long day. The meat sizzling over the coals is a well-earned reward for the group's patience and effort. At last, the moment the Hadzabe hunters have been waiting for arrives. The meat is fully cooked and ready to be eaten. With the first bite, the exhaustion, tension, and fear carried throughout the journey begin to fade away. This is more than a meal. It is a moment when the entire group gathers to share the rewards of a difficult expedition. Every bite reflects their courage, unity, and ancient connection to this land. The peaceful expressions on their faces as they eat in silence show that today's journey was successful and that the tribe's struggle for survival will continue. The Hadzabe diet comes entirely from nature. Their food does not go through complicated processing and mainly consists of what the land and forest provide. Freshly hunted meat, pure wild honey, roots, and wild berries are the foods that help them maintain their health and endurance in such a harsh environment. On the first morning, when sunlight touched the edge of the savannah, I followed the Hadzabe men out of camp. They carried only bows, a few arrows, and knowledge passed down through generations. The older hunter walked ahead, always watching the ground. To me, it was just sand, dry grass, and faint marks. But to him, every small footprint or bent patch of grass could reveal which animal had passed. Before moving deeper, the group checked their arrows and applied plant resin mixed with herbs to the tips. Soon after, the path led us to the first situation. The guide signaled us to stop when he found a small dik-dik antelope lying near some bushes, perhaps attacked by a hyena during the night. No one rushed toward it or showed much excitement. For the Hadzabe, everything in nature belongs to a greater cycle. They take only what can be used and do not see it as a personal victory. After observing it, the group continued forward, because the forest still held many things ahead. Nearly an hour later, a young hunter stopped beside a dry tree trunk. Inside a hollow, there was a soft buzzing of bees. For the Hadzabe, honey is a valuable gift from the forest, sweet and full of energy after long walks. They used smoke to drive part of the swarm away and took only what was needed. When they returned to camp, the children ran out to greet them, the women lit the fire, and the men placed the food in the center. Meat, honey, or any food brought back did not belong to one person, but to the whole community. Sitting beside the fire that afternoon, I realized that the most impressive thing was not their ability to follow tracks, but the way they shared everything. No one had to be reminded, and no one tried to take more. Every piece of meat and every chunk of honey was placed together so everyone could eat. Here, survival was not the story of one strong individual, but the unity of the whole group. One person could be a great hunter, but the community helped everyone get through difficult days. For the dangerous journey, taking away the fatigue of the climb. In the following days, I better understood how the Hadzabe entered each hunt. They did not make rigid plans or force themselves to catch one specific species. If the forest sent a signal, they listened. While passing through an area of bushes and low rocks, one man discovered the tracks of a wild cat that had just crossed. The group lowered their bodies, spread out slowly, and waited for the right moment. One arrow flew with precision. The hunt ended in silence, with only the calm of people who had always lived close to nature. Another time, they caught a guinea fowl after hours of following sounds through the bushes. The prey was carried back to camp, and the familiar scene happened again. Children sat near the fire, women prepared the embers and tools, while the men cleaned the animal. No one asked who had made the shot or claimed the best part. Once the prey reached the camp, it was no longer one hunter's achievement. It became a shared meal, divided in the way this community had done for generations. The longer I stayed there, the more I understood that sharing was not a forced rule, but a natural way of life. Children grow up seeing food always placed in the middle of everyone. Adults do not measure value by possessions or the number of animals hunted. What matters is who can contribute something to the common meal of the day. One day someone finds honey, another day someone hunts a small animal, but in the end, everyone sits around the fire. That trust makes life here feel much lighter. When I left the Hadza tribe, I did not want to say they were happier than the modern world. But I clearly felt one thing: they do not need much to feel complete. Perhaps what exhausts human beings is not always the lack of things, but the effort of holding on to too many. In that wild land, the Hadza showed me another way of living, simple yet profound. If you want to discover more stories about Hadza life, hunting, and culture, leave a comment and do not forget to follow the channel.
Amid the arid savanna and scrub forest surrounding Lake Eyasi in northern Tanzania, the Hadza people continue to preserve a hunter-gatherer lifestyle that has remained largely unchanged for thousands of years. Every morning, as the first light of dawn appears, the men set out carrying bows and arrows, while the women and children search for wild roots, fruits, and honey. In the Hadza world, every journey has a potential to become a confrontation with some of Africa's most dangerous animals. Among them, crocodiles and lions stand as the greatest challenges, demanding courage, experience, and flawless teamwork. During the dry season, when many streams run dry, animals gather around the remaining water holes to drink. This is also when crocodiles become more active in ambush, lying motionless beneath the surface for hours as they wait for unsuspecting prey. The Hadza understand these habits well and carefully study every sign before approaching the water's edge. They identify places where crocodiles are likely hiding by spotting slide marks in the mud, long tail drags, or flocks of water birds suddenly scattering into the air. To them, a single careless step can turn a hunter into prey. Before every hunt, the men gather to inspect their bows, sharpen their arrowheads, and prepare a layer of plant-derived poison for their arrows. Rather than confronting crocodiles in the water, they patiently wait for the right moment, when a reptile crawls onto the bank to bask in the sun or rest near the shoreline. A well-placed arrow will gradually weaken the crocodile. However, the hunt truly begins only after the first shot. The animal often plunges back into the water or thrashes violently, forcing the entire group to remain calm and track it for hours before making their final approach. Success brings not only a valuable source of meat, but also durable hide that can be used for many purposes in everyday life. Yet crocodiles have never been the only danger. Across the vast grasslands, lions constantly follow herds of antelope, zebras, and wild boars. At times, the very animals of Hadzabe worked so hard to hunt quickly attract the attention of Africa's top predators. By watching vultures circling overhead or hearing hyenas calling in the distance, the hunters can often tell that lions are nearby. They immediately change direction, avoiding unnecessary encounters while looking for opportunities to reach the remains of a kill if conditions allow. There are times when an entire group must face a pride of lions guarding its prey. No one recklessly rushes into attack. Instead, they stand shoulder to shoulder at a safe distance, constantly making loud noises by shouting, striking their bows against tree trunks, and moving in perfect coordination. Their calmness and unity can sometimes persuade the lions to retreat, especially when the animals are already full and unwilling to risk injury. Even if the hunters recover only the leftover meat, it remains an invaluable source of nourishment for the entire community during times of food scarcity. When the hunt comes to an end, everyone works together to carry the day's catch back to camp. The meat is roasted directly over glowing coals, while the energy-rich fat is especially treasured for helping sustain the body during long journeys. According to Hadzabe tradition, the reward never belongs solely to the hunter who made the successful shot. The meat is shared equally among the families, ensuring that both the elderly and the children receive their portion. It is the spirit of sharing that has enabled this small community to survive countless droughts and the harsh challenges of nature across many generations. As the sun gradually disappears beyond the horizon, the hunters gather around the campfire, recounting their encounters with crocodiles beneath the water and lions across the savannah, passing their knowledge on to the younger generation. For the Hadzabe, every hunt is more than a search for food. It is a lesson in patience, courage, and the ability to adapt to nature. These enduring values have allowed them to preserve their ancient way of life in the wild heart of Africa. To this day,